There are a few things in life that are just so universally frustrating as that tiny little chip on your windshield,
Oh, yeah.
and you watch it bloom into this giant spiderweb crack right across your line of sight.
Right in your eye line.
Yeah.
Every time.
It's an immediate, annoying problem.
Mm.
But with modern cars, it's also this sudden, complicated question mark. You're just facing an unexpected bill.
And that bill for so many people is way higher than the simple $200 repair they might remember from a
Yeah.
decade ago.
Exactly.
It's not just about replacing a pane of glass anymore.
Mm.
You're really swapping out a piece of sophisticated vehicle technology.
That's it. So our mission today is super focused, very practical. A listener sent us a stack of sources detailing the true cost of a windshield replacement, specifically in Aloha, Oregon.
Right.
We're going to dive deep into that material to give you clear, actionable insights on what determines the price and, maybe more importantly, what essential services you absolutely cannot skip.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the sources, they show right away that this repair has evolved dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at an estimate today, you see line items for sensors and calibration, not just, glass and glue.
Mm-hmm.
So this deep dive is all about making sure you understand the full scope of the job.
Right, from the low end to the high end.
From that $200 all the way up to $800 or more, so you can anticipate the costs and really understand the value of the steps you just can't skip.
So let's start with that baseline, because that huge cost range is where all the confusion begins. For a windshield replacement in Aloha, Oregon, the sources say the typical cost is between $200 and $800.
That is a massive gap.
It is.
But the source material helps us break that down pretty quickly. Most standard vehicles, so, think your everyday commuter car,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to fall somewhere between $300 and $500.
Okay, that's more manageable.
Right. And the reason for that huge spectrum is, well, it's fundamentally tied to your car's year, make, and model.
Simple as that.
If you drive an older common vehicle, like a Toyota Corolla or a Honda Civic, you're on the lower end. The glass is standardized, it's widely available, it's basically a commodity.
So if I have, say, a 2012 midsize sedan, I'm probably looking at that $300 to $400 range.
I'd say so, yeah.
But what happens when you get into newer vehicles or anything with luxury or premium attached to it?
That's where the cost escalator really starts to kick in.
Yeah.
Newer high-end vehicles, they require specialized glass. It's manufactured to exact OEM specs, original equipment manufacturer.
And that's just more expensive glass.
It's engineered for precision, for acoustics, for unique structural needs. And that pushes the cost into that premium $600 to $800+ range almost immediately. You're paying for the engineering, not just the glass itself.
Okay, so let's break down that mid-range a little more. If the economy cars are on the low end of that $300 to $500, who's hitting that $400 to $600 mark?
That segment, that's typically your larger SUVs and, all the pickup trucks you see everywhere.
Right.
The main reasons there are just sheer size. A bigger piece of glass costs more to make and to ship, and they often have more complex moldings or structural things to consider during the installation.
And that standard $300 to $500 quote, just the foundational price, what does that actually cover?
That's going to include the basics. So the windshield itself, the urethane adhesive that holds it in, the molding for the edge, and the standard labor.
So the physical act of getting the glass in and sealed.
Exactly. But to really understand the cost in a modern car, we have to talk about what's in the glass.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because the jump from a $300 windshield to an $800 one, it isn't random. It's all about the tech.
Absolutely. Think about all those convenience features we sort of take for granted now.
Like the rain sensors.
Rain sensors that trigger your wipers, yeah. Heating elements, which are great for a cold Oregon morning. Special coatings, heads-up displays. All of that requires complex manufacturing, so the glass itself is just inherently more expensive.
But the single biggest new cost, the one that really changes the game, it's not the heated wires. It's the ADS, the Advanced Driver Assistance Systems.
That's the
Like we're talking about automatic emergency braking, lane departure warnings, all that stuff.
That is the critical piece. It shifts this from just a simple glass repair to a full safety system repair.
How so?
Well, those systems rely on very precise cameras and sensors, and they're often mounted right on the windshield.
I see.
So when you replace that windshield, even a microscopic shift in the camera's angle, and I mean fractions of a degree, can make those safety systems inaccurate. And inaccurate, in this context, means dangerous.
Okay, so this brings up the big question. I've heard of people skipping the calibration to save a couple $100.
Yeah.
Is that really a non-negotiable step?
That is probably the most important decision you have to make, and the sources are emphatic on this. Calibration is non-negotiable for safety. Skipping it means you are actively compromising the safety systems you paid for when you bought the car. It adds about $150 to $300 to the bill, depending on the system.
So that cost is buying back your peace of mind.
And potentially your life, yes.
I appreciate you clarifying that. Let's get into the process then. The source material talks about two main types of calibration.
It does. The first is called static calibration. This needs a very specific, controlled environment, usually inside the shop. They use these precision targets, like special mats and alignment tools, to get the sensors perfectly aligned with the car's center line.
And the second type.
That's dynamic calibration. This one actually requires driving the car, but under specific conditions.
On the road.
On the road, yeah. Certain speeds for a certain distance, so the system can learn and verify its position relative to road markings. Both methods require professional expertise and really expensive equipment.
The danger of skipping this is the real takeaway here. Can you help us visualize what a failure looks like if you skip that $300 step?
Yeah, think of it like sighting a rifle. If the scope is just a little bit off, your shot's going to miss.
Okay.
It's the same idea. If your lane departure camera is misaligned, it might see the shoulder of the road as the lane marker and, steer you toward oncoming traffic.
Yeah.
Or worse, it could fail to warn you when you are drifting.
So it could either give you false warnings or no warnings at all.
Exactly. It might not engage when you need it most. You've basically disabled your car's most important preventative safety features.
That reframes that charge completely. It's not a tax. It's insurance on the systems you already own.
That's a perfect way to put it. It's the cost of making sure the car works the way the factory designed it to.
Okay, so we've covered the cost, the critical safety part. Let's talk logistics. Once I agree to the job, how long am I without my car?
The actual replacement process is pretty quick. Usually it's about 60 to 90 minutes, start to finish.
And what's happening in that hour and a half?
So the technician will start by carefully removing the old damaged glass. Then they clean the frame completely, apply a bonding primer for perfect adhesion, and then lay down that critical bead of urethane adhesive before setting the new windshield.
And this leads to that really crucial part that people often overlook, the cure time. You can't just get in and drive off, right?
Absolutely not. This is so important. You have to wait at least 1 hour before driving. That's the professional, safe drive-away time. The adhesive has just enough initial strength to hold the glass in.
But the sources stress a full 24-hour cure time. Why the big difference between 1 hour and 24?
It's all about structural integrity. After 1 hour, the car can move, but that adhesive has not developed the strength it needs to hold the glass in place during a serious accident.
I see.
That full cure strength, which you need for things like airbag deployment and roof support, that develops over a full 24 hours. If you get into an accident before then, the windshield could just pop out.
Which would be a lethal failure of the safety system?
Absolutely.
That makes the wait time feel less like a hassle and more like a requirement. And if your car needs that ADAS calibration, you have to add extra time on top of the installation.
Yes, definitely. If ADAS calibration is needed, you can add another 30 to 60 minutes to the whole process. It has to be done carefully with all that specialized gear.
This all leads perfectly into why professional installation isn't just a choice. It's a critical safety investment.
When we talk about structural safety, it's really about material science. A properly installed windshield provides crucial support to the car's roof in a rollover.
It's a support beam.
Think of it exactly like that, yeah. A foundational support beam. Without it, the roof can crush much more easily.
Wow. Okay, so the windshield is a structural beam, not just a window.
And that's not all. The installation has to be perfect for the airbags to deploy correctly in a crash.
How does that work?
Airbags deploy with huge force, and they often bounce off the inside of the windshield to cushion the passenger. If the windshield isn't installed right and it pops out, the airbags have nothing to push against. They just don't work effectively.
So a cheap, improper installation could literally be deadly, which is why the quality of the materials matters so much.
Precisely. Professionals use automotive-grade urethane, and they use glass that meets or exceeds those OEM specs. That quality prevents leaks, wind noise, and it maintains the car's safety performance.
And then there's the peace of mind factor.
That's where the warranty comes in. A professional will warranty their materials and their workmanship. So if a leak pops up later, which can happen, you're covered. You don't get that with a cut rate solution.
Okay, let's shift to some actionable advice, starting with the biggest concern. Who pays for this?
A lot of people worry about coverage, but the sources have good news here. Most comprehensive insurance policies will cover a windshield replacement with a very small or sometimes no deductible
So you should check your policy first.
immediately. Insurance companies actually prefer working with certified installers because they know the job will be done right, which means fewer claims down the road. But yeah, don't just assume you're paying the full price out of pocket.
So here's a question. If the cost seems high, from $300 to $800, should you just wait? Maybe put it off for a bit.
Absolutely not. And especially not somewhere like Oregon.
Why not?
Delaying the repair just leads to much higher costs later. Small chips and cracks spread so fast, especially with the temperature changes and the moisture in Oregon weather.
Right?
So what might have been a small, maybe even repairable chip, quickly turns into a mandatory, full, and much more expensive replacement.
And finally, let's tie this all back to the local market. Why does it matter to choose a provider who understands Aloha, Oregon specifically?
Because that local knowledge means better recommendations. Installers who know Oregon weather impacts cure times will adjust their process. They also understand the driving needs, whether you're on Highway 217 or rural roads, and can recommend the right glass and coatings for this region.
This has been a fantastic deep dive. It's a simple issue on the surface, but it's packed with so many crucial details. Let's recap the key takeaways.
Okay. The main cost drivers are the features in the glass and your car's make and model. That $300 to $500 range covers most standard cars, but you have to factor in the ADS calibration,
That extra $150 to $300.
which is really just buying back the integrity of your safety systems.
And remember that professional installation isn't just about a good seal. It's part of your car's structural safety, for rollovers and for airbags. And don't just drive away after an hour. That 24-hour cure time is mandatory for full strength.
We've established that this is a critical part of your car's safety structure. But what really stands out to me is that ignoring the ADS calibration after a replacement, it's basically choosing to temporarily disable the safety tech you already paid for.
That's a powerful way to frame it.
So for you, the listener, the knowledge from today should shift the question from how much is this going to cost me to what is the true cost of my safety if I decide to cut corners.
That is the crucial reframing. Make sure you apply this knowledge, choose a certified installer for that structural integrity and ADS functionality, and get that chip fixed before the damp Oregon weather turns it into an $800 nightmare. Thanks for joining us for the deep dive.